NFL free agency is right around the corner, but the NFL Combine is next week. We're talking about it all. Adam Rank joins. We're also ranking the biggest Chicago Bears roster needs. CHGO Bears Podcast starts right now. Welcome back to the CHGO Bears Podcast on a Football Friday. I am your host, Greg Braggs Jr. Alongside me, as always, on our Fridays is Mark Carman. Adam Rank will be joining us here in just about 13 minutes. Adam Hoge will be joining us here a little bit later on as we rank the Chicago Bears' top roster needs for 2025. So how you doing, Mark? How's everything going? Northwestern with a big win last night. USA falls to Canada. So our collective hearts broke as USA lost in overtime in a thrilling hockey exhibition, but we're talking football here today.
Yeah, great night for hockey, Greg. Good to see you. A lot of attention on the sport that it hasn't had like that in quite some time. So that was the outcome really didn't have anything to do with people enjoying the sport, which was cool. And look, I'm excited for today's show. It was actually a really good thought exercise for me going through the needs and trying to figure out like who do you value on the roster and want to give sort of a tip of the cap to as somebody who you think can get better, and then who are you basically out on, therefore you're moving them up on the rankings of needs. And I know that hey, we're taking a little peek at perhaps a Bears target. I doubt it, but you never know what they're thinking about a gentleman by the name of Joey Bosa, which I know we're going to talk about.
Yeah, let's look into it. I mean, so I guess I'll frame it in this way because obviously the headline was the Bears may target Joey Bosa if he does in fact become available. I saw a thing from Dan Graziano here, and I know some Bears fans were reacting to it yesterday, where he goes on to say that, you got to look at the possibility of the Chargers cutting Joey Bosa. He's scheduled to make, this is Dan Graziano reporting this, he's scheduled to make $25.36 million this season, but nearly half of that comes in the form of a $12.36 million roster bonus due next month. So while none of his 2025 money is guaranteed, the Chargers obviously want to decide by the time they have to pay that roster bonus. And then he goes on to say that Khalil Mack, being an unrestricted free agent, this might be a priority for the Chargers, or they might just, reset both defensive ends. So I'll frame it to you this way, Mark. Would you rather have Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack on the 2025 Bears next season, or none at all?
It's kind of a trick question. And there is some part of me that romances Khalil coming back here and having one more year in the sun. But look, Joey Bosa, 29 years old, and you're telling me that I don't like when a guy like Jim Harbaugh sees somebody for a year. And let's remember, he didn't have a bad year last year. Guy played in 14 games, had 5 sacks. It's the most he's played in a season since 21. He hit the quarterback 13 times. I mean, these numbers. If you put him on the Bears last year, that's about, you're at the top of the heap. So I'm not super excited by either, but I also am always looking for value, Greg. So, would I give Khalil Mack a Von Miller level contract? I would not. That's even though Khalil had a phenomenal season and continues to tell Father Time to stick it, which is quite impressive by 52. I'm impressed. I would not have thought he'd be this productive this long. So, tip of the cap to Khalil. Same thing with Bosa. You do have to be a little bit nervous here. But again, what's the price tag? And how are they addressing things in the draft? I mean, to me, all these options are on the table, which is a good thing for the Bears. Joey Bosa being out there as a potential cap cut is better than him not being there at a very basic statement.
Well, right. I mean, very rarely do very good pass rushers become available. So there's a reason why, the Chargers made it work last year where they were able to, because people thought last year Joey Bosa wouldn't stick with the Chargers. And Eric Beauchamp here in the chat says, Bosa has not played 60% or more of the defensive snaps in 3 years. Even when he plays, he's never at full strength. And, we talked about this yesterday where it's like, how many guys do we want to bring on where there's injury concern? Yes, you can acknowledge the talent, but at the same time, you have to take that into consideration. Now, if you made me pick between the two, call me sentimental or nostalgic, or the fact that I want to bust my Khalil Mack jersey or jerseys, plural, that I have in the closet and bring them back out. Yeah, I love Khalil Mack. You talk about needing leadership in this locker room. Khalil Mack embodied that in the fullest way. And I think he did truly enjoy his time here in Chicago, even though it didn't necessarily go as great as it could have, especially after that first year where that 2018 team shot out like a cannon. Go ahead.
Do you have the blue and the white? What do you got? You got an orange? What do you got of the Mack variety?
I got the white that he signed. So shout out to Khalil for the ink on the white one. And then I have a blue one that isn't signed that I'd wear. So Mack was always a great dude. And, I can remember covering they did a softball charity game, Eddie Jackson, and he was just hitting tanks. Like, the guy is, a supreme athlete. And like you said, Father Time is losing the fight right now with Khalil Mack. He's still a menace to deal with. And so to your point, Carm, what's the price? Because I think anybody would take Khalil Mack on their team, especially the Bears right now, who need somebody opposite of Montez Sweat. But you can't just be reckless with it. You got to understand what his price tag is. And I'd be definitely open to it depending on what that conversation looks like.
So I think let's live in reality for a second here. Are the Bears a Khalil Mack, a healthy Khalil Mack, or even a healthy Joey Bosa away from being a bona fide playoff team?
Well, it's interesting because yesterday I shared a pretty interesting graphic. I don't know if you happen to see it when it came across your timeline, if you were roaming the mean streets of Bears Twitter yesterday. But there's a guy that did a pretty fun graphic, and I want to give him a proper shout out here. His name is Bar Chart Sports. He has a Twitter account and an Instagram account where he, shows the rankings of teams, and it moves week to week. And this was defensive passing yards, or defensive total yards. And it was really interesting to watch the Bears, who climbed up to top 4 in the NFL by week 7. And then we all know what happens with the Washington Commanders game. And then just a precipitous plummet to the bottom 5 of the NFL. So you go from a top 5, top 4 offense to a bottom 5 or defense, I should say, in the NFL and all the way through the second half of the season. Now you understand the context of that. They lose Jaquan Brisker. They lose Andrew Billings, who was a key cog. I mean, even Ben Johnson mentioned how much the Bears were missing him just in his evaluation of the team. Matt Eberflus, gets fired. He's their defensive play caller. So they had a lot of different and obviously they played better teams in the second half of the season. So there's a lot of context I think you have to put into that stat. At the same time, to your question, Carm, are they a Bosa or a Mack or a game-wrecking edge away from being a top-line defense in this league? I think it is fair to suggest that they are, if they play to their potential. I don't expect them to be top 3 defense in the league. I think it's within their capabilities, but they can certainly realistically be a top 10 defense in the league if I try to meet you in the middle.
All right, let me rephrase the question. Do you think that Khalil Mack looks at the 5-win Bears last year as if he's going to be taking a free agent discount and he wants to win at the end of his career, do you think he would identify Chicago as a place that, that'd be a great place for me because they're on the verge? Do you think he would have that thought?
Yeah, I think I think he would. He played in Chicago. I understand they only had 5 wins, and I see you're rolling your eyes, and I get why you would. I get why you would, but I just think there's a lot of context to last year, and I don't think players have blindfolds on and are strictly looking at the win total. If you can't see the potential that this team has, yes, the coaching staff has work to do to get that fullest potential out of them, and that's what the previous coaching staff had. But I just refuse to believe that this team doesn't have top line potential. They only won 5 games, but my God, they could have won 6 others. And I'm not in the coulda, woulda, shoulda contest, but I just think I want to be fair to the conversation. I'm not going to sit here. I've always said, we've had these arguments before. I do not think it's a roster issue with this team. Yes, there are things this roster needs to improve in mightily, but I've always held to the standard that the coaching staff failed them more than anything from a personnel standpoint last season.
So we're having 2 different discussions here. I hear your logic as to why the Bears aren't that far away. And I'm not even pushing back on that at all. Correct. A lot of tough losses. Caleb should be a whole lot better in year 2. Ben Johnson should be a huge upgrade on Matt Eberflus. Guys going into year 3 like Jervon Dexter Sr., hopefully he'll have a breakout year. All these things. Rome Odunze year 2, all of that. I got it. I'm asking you if Khalil Mack, who was here and experienced Beardom, is likely to look at the Bears and do the thought exercise that you just did and said, that's where I want to go. I would be highly skeptical that he'd be like, you know what? I want to make that bet on that head coach who's never been a head coach, on that quarterback who is still finding his way. My point is, it's very unlikely that you're going to get a huge.
What other teams?
Hold on. It's very unlikely that you're going to get some level of discount on Mack to come here. You're going to have to pay him to come here because you're not there yet. He's not going to tab Chicago as that's a place where I know I can win. You want to pay him, you could get him, but that's how you're going to have to do it. And that's what the question, to me, you have to ask yourself about Mack. Do you want to overpay for Khalil Mack because he could make that big of a difference on that defense in the twilight of his career and that you can win? And to me, the answer to that is no.
It's fair. I mean, he's not going to take a discount really anywhere he's going, and then the factor would be what teams will be knocking on his door. I think that is part of the equation. If the Chiefs or the Bills are knocking on his door.
If the Detroit Lions knock on his door, it's much more likely that he would take a discount to go there and pair himself up with a hopefully, if he was looking at healthy Aiden Hutchinson, all of that.
Okay. But we had 2 coaches that were on the Detroit coaching staff that didn't get paid like Ben Johnson, that took slight upgrades to what their status was on the coaching staff in Detroit, and chose to leave Detroit and follow Ben Johnson to the 5-win Bears.
Took upgrades, dude. They got upgrades.
Okay, but you could have stuck with Detroit, and who's to say how you could have climbed the ladder there?
Antoine Randall is also coming home. He's getting
would Khalil Mack in that regard. Not his actual
his home
birth. I understand, but he played here. There is familiarity here in Chicago.
Maybe he wants to come back. I'm not saying you don't make the call. I'm just saying it's unlikely you're getting him at a discount because of where the Bears are at. You're going to still have to pay a tax for a team that won 5 games in that last year.
It's fair. I'm not gonna overly fight you from that, but I also just think that depending on the price, once again, I think there is. I would consider Khalil Mack as the opposite edge if you weren't looking to draft an edge in the first round this year. So that's why it's exciting. We're just around the corner. A lot of these hypotheticals will start to kind of alleviate. We're going to know what the Bears are going to do attacking free agency. We'll hear a lot of things at the Combine next week. We'll be reporting on all that while we are all down in Indy. And that's always where we start to get an idea of the landscape of how the Bears are going to attack an offseason. And this is going to be our first time, covering this team where it's a new coaching staff, a new head coach that's going to have a different blueprint for success. So I'm very excited to see how this goes. I'm very excited for free agency, because then we'll start to get some of the answers to the equation and kind of get a roadmap of kind of what their intentions are heading to the draft. So we'll be covering all of that. And we're going to be talking to Adam Rank here coming up next. Get him in on this conversation, as we are also on Ian Cunningham watch down in Jacksonville, and we have been, feels like, for 3 weeks now. So we'll get into all that here in just a few moments. But first, want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Ray CDJR. During the President's Day sales event at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fox Lake, shop federally approved savings on brand new vehicles. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram vehicles. And right now, take 18% off MSRP with a dealer discount on all new 2024 gas-powered Jeep Wrangler models, or shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with a friendly team of brand experts. The team at Ray CDJR is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, since they prioritize affordability, you know you won't overpay for the vehicle you need. And with Ray's price promise, you can shop confidently with no add-ons or hidden fees ever. The price you see is the price you pay. It's that simple. So go check out our partner today to shop one of Chicago's area's largest inventories. Find the right vehicle for you, then drive home happy. The team at Ray CDJR is the only one we recommend. So don't miss out on their President's Day sales event going on all month long, just for a few more days here in February, for 18% off MSRP on all new 2024 gas-powered Jeep Wrangler models. For more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake, or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since
1963.
That's right.
Hey, shout out to our friends at Cornbread Hemp. It's a Friday, so look, they've got the CBD and they got the THC. Today, I'm going for the THC for a Friday. The THC gummies it's just a healthier way to enjoy your happy hour. THC gummies from Cornbread Hemp have been perfect for that. Are you tired of hangovers? Are you looking for an alternative to alcohol? Try out the Cornbread Hemp THC gummies that help you enjoy the fun without the guilt, without the regrets. Nothing better than chilling with Greg Braggs and friends with these THC gummies from Cornbread Hemp. Maybe I'll bring some down to Indianapolis to really enjoy the party that is the Indianapolis Combine, the NFL Combine that will be there all next week starting on Tuesday. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, give Cornbread Hemp a try right now. As a special offer to the CHGO listener, we're giving you 30% off your first order. Did you hear that? 30% off. All you got to do is visit cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO. Use the promo code CHGO at checkout. One more time, Cornbread Hemp, one word, cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO. Use the code CHGO for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour.
That's right. Moving things along here on the CHGO Bears podcast, and we're heading over to the hot Hooters Hot Wing Hotline, as we always do here on Fridays, to bring in our good friend Adam Rank from NFL Network.
I'm sponsored by Hooters now. That's pretty dope.
We're moving
a little bit. All right, that's pretty cool. By the way, there's one. They moved the one in Costa Mesa, so now I'm a little bit upset. I do want to say one thing though about the gummies and the THC. Like, listen, when Braggs is on a bender, it's nonstop crazy, closing down bars at 4 a.m. Great stories. Oh, I was hanging out with Vince Vaughn. I punched Matt LaFleur in the face. But like that's epic when he's out there boozing. When he starts doing those gummies, it's 20 minutes of like, yeah, Greg, that sounds like the best burrito ever.
That's
the difference.
There is a big difference.
But I think as the person consuming it, you're way better off.
As my
stories, it's worse.
Adam, as my voicemail will attest to, it's much better for me if Greg is on the THC Cornbread Hemp gummies versus his standard experiences that he does, because he's a much more friendlier guy in that zone versus his unwarranted attacks.
I leave you yelling voicemails when I'm drinking at Wrigley with love, and you know that. But we also had.
But I'm going to take a gummy tonight, watch some Ted Lasso because we got early soccer tomorrow. But yeah, I get you. I'm with you though. But I get
there you go. Well, we know you're always killing it with the coaching, the soccer circuit, and your amazing coaching prowess. And so let's get into it though, because we were just talking about. I saw you jumped in a little early, and I almost brought you into it because
I was foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, I can tell.
Because I'm listening to it. I understand where Karma's coming from, and I'm going to talk to him like he's not even here. No, I understand that, but I really believe that if Greg and I were meatballing out with Mike McCarthy as our head coach, a lot of what you say makes sense. Like it's the same old Bears. But I think that Ben Johnson is the new, like the final shining example of like, it's not business as usual. The Bears are really trying to do whatever it takes to be a winning model organization. Coaches are buying in and all this stuff. And I think that while we can't necessarily bank on nostalgia for players like Khalil Mack or whatever, but I think for a lot of dudes will look at this situation and be like, oh yeah, this is vastly different than where it has been. Now it's going to be difficult to compete with teams like Washington in a way because they've got a young quarterback. They actually went to the playoffs, so they've got a better selling point. But I think that when you talk to people around the league, I mean, we're all at Radio Row. When we talk to people now, there's a lot of like, oh yeah, the Bears have started to put it together. It is the Kyle Long thing of like, show us, don't tell us. So it will take more convincing. We'd probably have to pay more money. But that's fine. I think that when we're raising ticket prices 18% over a 2-year period, that money is going to go back into our coaches and go back into our players.
Well, you just agreed with me. They're still going to have to pay. I'm not saying he won't come here. It's not like it's impossible that Mack would say no, but you're not getting him for a discount. I'd be stunned. I really want to be in Chicago. They're on the verge. No way he has that thought.
I would say that if it's between us and the Cowboys, if it's us and a lot of teams, I think we're further along. I'm conceding that there are some situations that are better. That you're like, okay, maybe we would lose him to this guy. But I still think like Chicago is an attractive place to go. And I think if Khalil Mack is like, I need to go to a team that's a winner, I think the Bears are in the winner phase. Like they're like this. Watching it play out in baseball, where it's like the Angels never get anybody anymore because they're like, you guys aren't winning ever. The Bears are not in that situation. I think the Bears are given a lot of credibility, and there's a hierarchy in the winner side of things. It's kind of like those graphs that Big Cat puts out that like, hey, where are you on this scale? Now there's teams like you're going to take less money for Kansas City than you would for Chicago, but I think that we're now in the upper echelon of that. I think they have a chance for Khalil.
I'll maybe make a concession to your. I don't want to keep going down this road. Khalil Mack, how's this? Khalil Mack's dying to come here. He absolutely.
There we go. We got him, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
There it is.
That's all you needed to say. If the Chiefs call, he's hanging up. If the Bengals call, you won 9 games. Why? If Green Bay calls, stick it, Packers. If Detroit calls,
whoa. What situation do you think's better, Green Bay or Chicago?
Now,
I don't believe that people around the league view Green Bay the way that we think that they do, or you think that they do. I'm right on it. I don't think people think that Green Bay is winners. I really don't. I don't think anybody's ever going to take a discount to go play for Green Bay. We have a much better chance than anybody from Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't operate that way anyway, so it doesn't matter.
They've averaged 5 wins a year for the last 3 years. I think we got to live in some level of reality here.
I also want to live in the now. Like listen. Have you driven by Cabrini Green in recent? Like, do you get scared when you go through Cabrini Green now? You're like, oh my God, this is the worst neighborhood. Like, listen, the setting of Cabrini Green is completely different now. Like you can let that go. Things change. And I think that's what's happening in Chicago.
That is a bold comparison to say that that Cabrini Green of the 70s, where most people would not drive down Division. I went right down that thing, right on the way. Let's go.
You were playing your harmonica down Division.
It produced a great television. It inspired a great television show and good times.
Yeah. So my goal for the offseason, and Rank knows this, and Carm's heard this, I think, a few times, but my goal for this offseason is to not get lost in the offseason sauce. Don't get overhyped. I've done it too many times, and I feel like I'm a part of the problem. And so I'm excited for the Bears to prove a lot of the things that you're saying, Adam, where things are different. I think there's evidence to suggest that, but I want to see the tangible, facts. So when we get to mini camp, when we get to training camp, and ultimately when we get to the regular season, I'm excited for them to prove that things are indeed different this time around. But then I think my new goal is, while I'm trying to, Karma's always saying lately, let's live in reality. So I'm going to try to meet him halfway, but that means he has to come out a little bit to Meatball Island. So I think that'll be our goal this offseason.
He can take the ferry around Meatball Island.
Yeah, me and you, Rank, we will work on Rank, or we will work on Carm to come on over to the shores of Meatball Island. Rank, let me ask you this. We have been kind of on Ian Cunningham watch for the last 3 weeks, and especially in the last week. He interviewed remotely on Zoom or whatever, and then he interviewed in person. The picture looked like he had a really nice time. And so I'm curious where you stand on what you'd prefer Ian Cunningham's, outcome to be. Is that to stay in Chicago because we're 3 days away from the combine? Let's leave the front office the way it looks, or to let him get this, coaching or this GM upgrade, get the job he's been looking for the last few years. And then that ultimately helps the Bears a little bit with draft, where you get 2 third-round picks for him moving on and getting that job. And I'm just curious where your mind space is at of what you'd value over the other.
Well, I feel remiss because before I came on the show today, I was doing a pre-tape interview for NFL Insiders this afternoon with Eric Armstead, the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. And obviously he's a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars and all that. I didn't even think, we focused. We thought, actually, I got a Walter Payton question in there, so I did my job. Didn't think about the Ian Cunningham part of it too. But for me, whenever I watch these things, and it is difficult as it is to sit here and watch and be, you do want to move on a little bit, but the business of the NFL really starts at the combine. So it needs to be done in the last 3 days. And honestly, I just want what's best for Ian Cunningham. Selfishly, I would like for him to, it's a win-win situation because we do have those picks in our pockets if he does end up taking the job down in Duval. And believe me, we asked Eric about that, and it's hilarious. I want what's best for him, and I'm not going to stand in his way of fulfilling whatever, his goals are. And if he thinks his best opportunity is to go down to Jacksonville with an organization that really does love to spend money. They're I think Shad is the richest owner in the NFL by far. And I think they have a great fan base and everything. And I really do believe that it's a great job. Of all the jobs that come open for general managers, I think that if this does present itself, you should jump at it. But at the same time, I would implore Tony and Sean and all those guys, get it done. Just make a decision one way or the other. I'm going through this right now, putting together my spring select roster of these girls. We might play club, we might do this. And then all of a sudden, last night, this Anaya girl walks up and I'm like, this girl's fantastic. She's not on a club already? All right, she's ours. So if you miss out, if you don't strike while the iron's hot, you can miss out. So if Ian Cunningham gets an opportunity to go to Jacksonville, selfishly, I'd love for him to stay and help the Bears win. But I think that for him and his development, I hope he takes that gig and I hope he goes down and kills it. And I hope that, a couple of years from now, we're talking about a great matchup in the Super Bowl between Jacksonville and Chicago and 2 black general managers going out. I think it would be awesome for the league. So I will be non-meatballish in this, and I hope Ian gets it just because I want him to succeed in his career aspirations.
Well, certainly it'll be interesting. I think we'll have an answer this weekend. The NFL released what their schedule will be for Tuesday at the NFL Combine and what GMs and head coaches will be speaking to the media, and the Jaguars do have a time slot.
Ian Cunningham. You're like, wait a minute.
The Jaguars do have a time slot listed, but it says to be determined. So we will be waiting on that announcement. I'm assuming
if they don't hire a GM, do you think they would just put Chris Jericho out there? Because I think that'd be rad. You're like, you know what? We don't have a GM yet, but here's Chris Jericho to speak.
Someone from the AEW, I'd imagine, with the Khan family, I think would take over there. Adam Hoge will be joining us here in just a few moments. We will be getting into our rankings, no pun intended, on the top Bears roster needs.
Can I ask a question, please, before we conclude the Ian Cunningham? Because I was not given the opportunity to talk.
Well, trying to stay on task. But
how many days are you on this network? You never weighed in on Ian Cunningham?
This is a part of his charm, Ray.
Hooters is paying me to be on the air right now. They wanted my take on this.
The consummate professional, Mark Carman, who's been in Chicago media for 30 years, and he's teaching me so many great things. The one thing I have learned is when we're ending an interview or a segment or a show, that Carm's always got just one more. So yes, I will.
Hold on, let me ask you one more question.
I will grant you
the one more.
Listen, Rank, as you said earlier on the show, I want to live in the now. And in the now, we're talking about Ian Cunningham. And I just want to know, asking you both a question, what is the shining, what is the greatest thing that Ian Cunningham, no disrespect to Ian Cunningham, has done for the Bears? Please let me know what that is.
Okay, I would say talking Ryan Poles out of moving up in the draft to take Rome Odunze when he felt the number 9.
Don't be an idiot and trade up. That's his claim to fame.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty helpful.
Well, we're
got low bars. We got low bars.
Hey, George Bailey, what is the greatest thing you ever did in your life? You're like, well, I pulled my brother from a pond that saved him from dying. Okay, outside of that, George, what else have you done? I'm sorry, I'm not there every day.
And Mark, you're fine. You're fine, Adam. You're fine. Mark here will have all of Monday.
People who work for us.
Mark, you will have all of Monday to react to the Ian Cunningham news and throw all your takes, because I will not be on the Monday show as we are traveling to Indianapolis, and I live in Indiana. So you will have the entire floor with Adam Hoge to talk about Ian Cunningham, who Rank talks about is Ryan Poles' balance guy. And that's, I think, something you need is a little bit of balance. So, that's why it's important to have good teammates. And that's what we try to do here for each other at the CHGO Bears Podcast. So please hit that like button. We are going to finally get into the rankings, the long anticipated segment of ranking the biggest Bears rosters needs, as Adam Hoge will be joining us here just after the break. But first, we got to give a shout out here to our sponsors, and we are going to give a shout out to Prize Picks, because my good buddy Mark Carman.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gregory. I got distracted. Let me tell you, I got this. Thank you very much. Let me tell you about our friends at Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million users signing up. You want to get yourself involved in Prize Picks. They've invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if your picks don't hit. You can make 10 times your money, by the way, if you play it out. Prize Picks put their members first. All withdrawals are fast. They're safe. They're secure. Prize Picks, daily fantasy. Use your skills, more or less. More yards, less yards. We're getting into basketball. More points, more rebounds, less rebounds. Show your knowledge. Make yourself some money. You're going to love it. Prize Picks are our new best friend. Download the app today. Use the code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Let me tell you that again. You download the app. You use the code CHGO. You get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
That's right. Run your game with Prize Picks. We appreciate their support here to the program. Also want to give a shout out here to Factor Meal Kits. Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor keto meals based on a randomized controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto. Results will vary depending on diet and exercise, which is always important. You got to combine the both, that's for sure. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Research your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. So we're encouraging all of you watching the CHGO Bears podcast, eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast and use the code Factor Podcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code Factor Podcast at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. All right. We have finally made it to the segment I've been waiting for all week long. Everyone knows.
Hold on. Can I say something?
Yes, you may.
First of all, I had to take off the quarter zip because it was scratching on my zipper because I was getting so worked up from Carm. By the way, what if instead of Factor meals, you had something called Fatter meals and they just sent you like a bunch of Taco Bell in the mail? Yeah. Hey, we have your pre-packaged selection of meals here from Fatter Meals. No, actually, I will say no. It's funny because Factor Meals is something that I actually use because people ask me sometimes. They thought I had some sort of they're like, "What's wrong with you?" You're like, "I just eat better because I let somebody else decide what I eat and just mail it to me." That's what I need in my life.
Well, I have plenty of Taco Bell on a daily basis, so Factor Meal is exactly what we needed.
It's good.
All of us at the office indulge in Factor Meal kits every single day.
By the way, Adam, that does exist though. That Fatter Meals thing, it's called Grubhub and Uber.
There it is.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So all right. Welcome Adam Hoge to the program here on a Football Friday as we're just a few days away from the NFL Combine. As we try to steer this ship back into gear. I've been excited to do this rankings all week. You know, we've had different topics we've been talking about, but I think it's a good exercise, as Mark was saying, to kind of try to figure out what the roadmap will be for Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles attacking their first ever offseason. So we all each kind of came up with our lists of what we define as the Bears' biggest needs. So yesterday I was calling it ranking the holes, and Adam suggested that I call it ranking the needs and not ranking the holes. So that's where we're going to stick it. That's sage advice.
That's where we're going to stick it. All right, way to go.
Yes, exactly. So because I think there will be a little bit of redundancy between our lists, because obviously we'll have similar needs. As we go through each of our individual lists, each one of you, if you guys just want to highlight which ones stand out to you the most as we each have our time to go through our list. And then after it's over, we can kind of discuss some of the overhead view of this whole thing. Maybe that'll help without being too repetitive here. So I'll work from all the way to one side back to me. And Mark Carman, I will start with you on what your list of highest priority of roster needs for the Chicago Bears this season.
You're letting me go ahead of Rank and the Mansion? Wow.
That's right.
This is a questionable driving decision, but I will take this opportunity.
Get you out of the way first. That was my thought.
Oh, good. There you go. So there you have it. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going with center. I look at that as the biggest need because I want whoever is going to be the partner of Caleb Williams to get here yesterday. And yes, I mean, I suppose it's possible they bring back Coleman and draft a center, which I think you're going to have 2 new guards. But the guy that's going to be there to me is the number one need on this team, followed by the guards. So you don't have any. You're not re-signing Tevin. Nate Davis is off to Nate Davis land. And if you're going to bring back Matt Pryor, he's going to be a backup. So I don't think you can run too far away from guard. And you can flip those back and forth. But I put center first because I'm just dreaming up of a big-time center. Will take a lot of pressure off of Caleb and be able to do some of the formation work that he has struggled with so far. Number 3, I put edge because I went back and forth on this edge and 3-tech because I just gave an edge, if you will, to Gervon Dexter, hopefully taking the same step forward that he took from year 1 to year 2, doing the same thing year 2 to year 3. And I don't, the speculations that they're going to cut DeMarcus Walker, I'm not 100% certain in believing that because he was a fairly productive player. But who can you pair with Montez Sweat on the edge? So I put that 3rd. That would be enormous for this Bears defense. I don't think anyone would argue that. And then let's just dream back up to the 3-tech, was where we started this experiment, all the way back to Larry Ogunjobi and landed on Dexter, and it still screams out as a need. And I put running back 5th. Look, DeAndre Swift is fine, but that's all I'm going to give him. And Roschon Johnson is not that is not thunder and lightning right there. That is lightning and I don't know, puddle, whatever you want to call it. Ain't good enough. Lightning and ain't good enough. That's how I'll say it. So you got to draft a running back and hopefully a good one. If Ryan Poles could hit on that this year, it'd be huge for the offense. And then 5th, I put safety, or 6th rather, I put safety, because you can't. I can't see the Bears extending Jaquan Brisker in a year. That's way too big of a gamble for me. Even if he has a very healthy season, I'd be worried about the concussion situation. Kevin Byard, very solid year. I expect him to be here, even though it's a potential cut, but I don't think it will happen. But he's old. So I think at some point here, you're going to have to address the safety position. I wouldn't mind seeing them do that this year in the later rounds of the draft.
Solid list. You're getting compliments here in the chat from it. And I saw Gary and a few others were sharing what their list of their priority needs are for the Chicago Bears. So leave those in the chat as well. Appreciate you guys all kind of participating in this exercise. Adam, rank.
Yes, sir.
Rank the Bears' biggest needs for 2025.
Well, I believe that I led off with center as well, because I think that's the most important position of anything. And then I went guard, another guard, hell, one more guard before we start getting. Like, this is one of the things that drives me crazy, is that we just can't sit there and be like, oh, we signed Andrew Davis, or we signed a player, and we're like, okay, we're done. Like, no. There needs to be a lot of work. And I don't want this to be a situation like the Angels got into a couple of years ago, where they drafted 20 pitchers and only one of them made it to the major leagues. But at the same time, this team needs a lot more depth and finding more prospects and finding more players, because when you look at the number of different combinations at the offensive line the Bears have played over the last number of years, part of that is because not everybody was very good, but there's injuries, and you got to be ready for injuries, and you got to understand, like, this is going to happen. And it's almost as important to have a solid rotation on that offensive line as it is on the defensive line. You need somebody, and I've had swing tackle in there as well, because like, we need somebody who can bounce through and like just anticipate the fact that this is not like playing Madden with the injuries off. We're going to have to go out there and make sure that we have a lot of dudes who are ready to go and ready to play when they're called upon to go out there and perform at a high level. And I think the offensive line is obviously is a big thing. I believe, if I remember correctly, did I have wide receiver 3 ahead of running back? I can't remember. But to me, like, it's very close. Tight end 2 for me. I have running back way down. I think we're okay running back wise. I think we can get one in the draft. Tight end 2, I think, is very important. And I think I would love to find a way to start working. And of course, this comes down to what Ben Johnson's going to design for his offense. And Ben Johnson might figure that, like, you know what, I'm good. I don't need 2 tight ends. But if I think back to what Detroit was doing, I would like to see an extra, and tight ends can block too. So for me, if we could get a solid tight end 2, not to the point that we're drafting like Tyler Warren from Miami with the number 10 pick or something like that, but I think that, if we could find an affordable option at tight end, I feel like not only would that help us in the passing game, but it does help with blocking. So I think that's something that I would like to take a look at.
Well, there's a good follow on Bears Twitter. His name's Jonathan Wood, and he had a really good breakdown and kind of spreadsheet kind of listing here the 4 drafts. It'll be the 4th draft this year for Ryan Poles and kind of where he's prioritized the positions. And you can see why interior offensive line and defensive end are such a need this year. When you look at, the research and the graphs that he put out, Ryan Poles really hasn't looked at those options as much here in these last few drafts. And to Mark Carman saying running back's a priority to him, and you, Adam Rank, saying tight end is a priority. I think the nice thing about that is both those positions are loaded in this draft, and you can have an opportunity to upgrade at those positions and get some youth and some guys that can develop behind some dudes and kind of rebolster for the future. So something to consider. Adam Hoge, appreciate you jumping on here. I know that you just got a haircut. You're looking fresh. I know that you're still reeling from the loss last night, as am I. But I appreciate you joining nonetheless.
Wait, what loss? What did I miss?
USA versus Canada.
Yeah, you guys lost. Sorry.
You guys. Where are you?
He does this.
What are you with Carm on the Canadian bandwagon? What's going on here?
You guys not understand? I grew up like 30 miles outside of Paris.
No, I guess we did not understand this.
I guess I did not understand that.
No, we missed that.
Is France doing the Four Nations tournament?
Why would I care about France? Paris, California is what I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
A hotbed of Canadian immigrants is what I meant.
He does this he doesn't call it Fahrenheit either with the temperature.
It's not calling it Fahrenheit. It's not an opinion. There are 2 separate systems. There is Fahrenheit and there is Celsius. Hey, why don't we do whatever? I don't want to get into it, but Celsius makes the most sense, like Gulf of Mexico does. But whatever. I'm not here for that. We're here to talk about the Bears' needs.
I actually agree with you on that point, but we have to make things much more complicated. We'll just talk to Nate Bargatze and his his whole rant on systems. All right, can I get to my list now at 12:47? I'd love to jump into this conversation. So I'm going to listen to the guy that the Bears just paid $13 million a year to as head coach. And what did he tell everybody? He said this league is about quarterback play, right? So on the opposite side of the quarterback, you have to rush the quarterback. And so number 1 on my list is edge rusher. The Bears have to upgrade their pass rush if they're going to be a serious defense in today's NFL. I like Montez Sweat. They got to get somebody else on that other side, whether it's somebody they sign in free agency, whether it's somebody they trade for, whether it's somebody they use a first-round draft pick. But they're somewhere high capital or cap space needs to be used to upgrade the pass rush. So that's why I have edge rusher number 1. Number 2 on my list, okay? Again, about the quarterback. So now we got to protect the quarterback. I'm with you guys. Center, guard. You could probably make that interchangeable, the order there, but I lean towards center because I just think they need a stud long-term center who's going to be married to Caleb Williams. They're going to understand protections together. They're going to be looking at the same things at the line of scrimmage together through the eyes of the play caller, which is another thing Ben Johnson talked about. So that's why I put center as a higher priority as guard, but they need both obviously there. Now, I thought about at the number 1 spot, putting edge/3 technique, because I think if you find a good enough 3 technique, that could actually have the same type of impact in getting after the pass rusher. So I'm really okay if that's also ends up being, the number 1 thing they go out and upgrade. But I also think they have they have better options right now in the middle than they actually do as the edge 2 right now. So that's why I put edge number 1. Either way, I think I like Jerron Dexter. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think you can do so much better with somebody who's quicker off the ball, who can really penetrate those gaps and really collapse the pocket faster from the inside. So that's where I go with 3 technique. Next on my list is running back. I do not like the Bears running back room. I think that what a weird thing they did last year. It actually seemed relatively deep in August. And then by the time you got to November, after they had traded Khalil Herbert, and go Velus Jones and all that, all of a sudden it was like, okay, they have this guy who dances a lot and can be a home run hitter, but he really leaves too many yards out there for me, DeAndre Swift. So I like him. I'm okay if he's still on the roster, but I think that they really need a decisive one-cut runner in the backfield that can really upgrade the running back room. So I have that number 5. And then number 6 on my list, I just think this has been sort of ignored for way too long, especially for a franchise that literally just put somebody in the Hall of Fame for being a returner. And we can keep getting by with these guys that they're sort of okay returners. They sort of okay help the field position. But the Bears, especially with the new kickoff rule, need to go out and get an electric elite returner in the kick return and punt return game. No franchise, no fan base should know the benefits of that more than Chicago Bears fans and what it could do to field position, what it could do to score more touchdowns in the third phase of the game. And so I just think that it's a spot that's been ignored for way too long, where they're just kind of plugging in DeAndre Carter's and Taylor from 2 years ago. No, go out and get somebody electric at that spot, and it can really help all 3 phases of the game. So I go with returner number 6.
No surprise, you're going to finish with special teams. Last year, you called your shot with Torrey Taylor, and you haven't. I don't believe we've released your first edition of your mock draft yet, correct?
It's coming out Monday. It's done. It's in the can. And it'll be out Monday morning right here on YouTube. There'll also be a written version too for our diehards.
Awesome. And I think because I get privy to inside information at CHGO Bears, I think there might be somebody on that mock draft that might fill that final need that you talk about with kick returner and punt returner. So stay tuned for that. Great list by all. We'll finish with mine here. Mine's always extensive, just like Ranks. It's a little longer, and I'll roll through it. I'm kind of with you guys that have center as the top spot over guard, regardless of if you have it 1, 2, or 3. I think we're all kind of in alignment that center is the bigger need than guard, even though the better player in Trey Smith is the guy that plays guard and that could potentially be available for the Chicago Bears. The Bears have to get the center position right, man. We have gone through this carousel too many times, and Sam Mustipher and Lucas Patrick last year with Coleman Shelton did not work out for a few different reasons. And you had 14 different centers we talked to at the NFL Combine last year, and 12 of them were thoroughly impressive. Honestly, when I go to the Combine, my favorite position to talk to isn't just O-line. It's specifically the center position. They are so intelligent. They have so much knowledge about the game. When you talk to some of these guys, they don't always give you the detailed response. They're just trying to roll through it. And I've found center guys at the Combine to be some of the most fascinating people to talk to. So center is number 1 for me. And if you want to bring in Drew Dahlman, I'm all for it. And I'm still going to double down like Rank suggests. Don't be done there. Draft someone to develop behind him and give him time to bake in the oven. So if you wouldn't mind, Steven, bringing my list back up, but I just feel so strongly about getting this center position right. Guard goes without saying. I would love to bring in, maybe a guard from Detroit. Obviously, we all want Trey Smith. Excited for the free agency to get rolling so we can have our answers there. And then for me, wide receiver 3 and tight end 2, to me, should not be underlooked spots for the Chicago Bears. Again, let's develop a tight end. This is a tight end heavy draft. Let's find someone later in the draft to develop behind Cole Kmet and have some contributions to the 2025 roster. And you cannot underlook wide receiver 3. Yes, they have Rome Odunze and DJ Moore. Keenan Allen looks to be on his way out. Of course, we'd love to fill that position with somebody that kind of stylistically compares to what Jameson Williams did for the Detroit Lions. But you could also find a guy that, is similar to the way Tim Patrick plays the position and helped a Ben Johnson offense. Regardless, you're thin if you're just going to rely predominantly on DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. Injuries happen every year, and if somebody were to go down, now you don't have anyone. They can phase that position out of a game plan if one of those guys is hurt by double teaming the one that's still there. So I just think there's an emphasis of finding someone in the draft. And so that's basically the highlights of my list. If you want to bring it up one more time, Steven, I'll give you a rundown of the back end of this thing. But running back and D tackle, I'm right there with you. And then safety. Safety to me is another spot I have listed at 5th. I don't know what they're going to do with Kevin Byard or Jaquan Brisker, but let's find a way to bring an impact safety into Hallis Hall and for this Chicago Bears team, whether it is in free agency or the draft. And maybe you do cut one of the 2 safeties you currently have. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I'm excited to finally get some answers here sooner rather than later. But there it is, guys. To me, that's the list. Great job by all of you. I gave you some homework last night, and you aced the test. Mark.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah,
it means a lot.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, we're really proud to be able to make you feel like we did you right.
Hey, he's producing now. He's got a lot. He's got a lot of responsibilities at CHGO, and it's a thing. And it'll be interesting to see how they do it. You know, as I was sitting here and we were talking about it, and I think about drafting Roma Dunze last year, which I loved. I love Roma Dunze. I think it's great. We are going to draft Tyler Warren. We are going to draft a tight end at number 10. And I want everybody to be prepared for that. The more I think about it, I'm like, that just sounds like something he's going to do. We're not going to get, although this is where the pessimist comes into me, where you're like, we'll miss out on Trey Smith, but we'll get one rando guard, Mekhi Becton, and be like, okay, we're good. And like, that's all we're signing. And then in the draft, we're like, well, we're drafting a guard then. Yeah. Like, nope, we're getting the tight end, and then we'll get a running back. And then you're like, oh my God, what are we doing? Then we'll get a kicker. And you're like, there's so much going on. So I hope that there is people, particularly Ryan Poles, heeding the advice of addressing the lines.
Yeah, I'm sure he's watching right now and taking.
He might
notes.
be.
He's taking notes to all of our lists and taking that into consideration. And we'll talk to him next week at the Combine about that. Adam Hoge, before we cut you loose, and Rank, obviously, if you ever need to go, I know you're working hard for NFL Network, so you're always.
There's only one insider today. I gotta go. I gotta bounce to our production meeting here in 3 minutes.
Okay,
We did a pre-tape with Eric Armstead.
There it is.
This show is ending in 3 minutes. Let's go.
Yes, I will be cutting both the Adams loose, and Mark will be leaving when I tell him to. But before Adam Hoge leaves, we did have a super chat for you. Anthony Tranchita, $1.99 super chat, saying Adam Hoge, Pluto is a planet. Does that mean anything to you?
I believe it's a Les Grobstein reference.
Okay. That's what Anthony says here.
It would be a little bit more obvious though if it said Adam Hoge, Pluto is a planet.
Okay.
But I believe that's what he's going for. Appreciate the super chat. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony.
See, if more people ever listen to the night game with yours truly and Connor McKnight, people would know that I'm actually the planetary expert on the show. And I once made a very, very impassioned plea that the moon is indeed a planet. And that's when Connor decided that he wanted to go into play-by-play and get as far away from me as possible. But why can't the moon be a planet?
I don't know. I guess now we can just sign an executive order and it's done.
Exactly.
Because the moon orbits the Earth. You have to orbit the sun to even be a planet, you moron.
That's what you say. But
Doesn't
why can't
matter
it be?
anymore.
Why can't it be planet
none of this
moon?
matters anymore. It's a new world.
You can make anything.
Hey.
Yeah. So this is it. This is interesting because Carm did say he wanted to finish the show in 3 minutes and then goes on a 2-minute rant about his stupidity of the moon.
Exactly. And which is perfect. And by the way, become a diehard, allchgo.com. Get every bit of our draft knowledge. $48 right now to the end of the month. Fran Duffy's absolutely crushing it. Hoge's doing everything that he can to possibly make us successful, as am I. And then you got Taco Bell guy over here who is going to do something else. But no, Greg is truly our MVP. And Adam, I love spending Fridays with you. Somebody just asked in the chat, do I not like Adam Rank? Do I not like Adam Rank? I love Adam Rank. I'm a Rank lover. Every time I see Adam Rank pop up on a Friday, things happen. We
love Adam Rank, and we're gonna let him go to his meeting now because he has a very important meeting at a real television network.
Yeah, we'll cut you loose.
Late for.
I'm not sponsored by Hooters in that meeting, so I might be a little late, but still, Thanks for everybody for having me. I don't know who's going out to Tempe or where are you guys, Peoria, or I guess there's 2 Chicago teams out there. But in any event, I will see you soon. Watch the Insiders tonight. It's Mike Garafolo and me. No Ian Rappaport, no Tommy P, no Judy Batista. They're like, yeah, it's we'll let Rank give it a shot. And so I'm looking forward to that. And thank you. This helped get my mind right. Now I'm ready to go attack the day.
There we go. Get the inside info on Ian Cunningham, and we appreciate you as always, Adam. And we will catch up with you here next week. That is Adam Rank of NFL Network and a great mentor. No, you cannot. You have to stop talking at some point in your life. Pizzatola, $5 super chat. After much thought, Carm's new name is 5. Basically based strictly on talent ranking behind 1 Hoge, 2 Steven, 3 Braggs, 4 the CHGO coffee mug, and then 5 you're behind the mug.
Right.
It's a great ranking right there by Pizzatola. I think it's pretty accurate too. The respect shown to Steven is elite. But I was mad at myself last night, and I don't have it in front of me, so I apologize for whoever sent this to me. But someone did tweet me last night with Carm's weird rant about how he needs a better name, or I don't know. I blacked out. Was that what it was about? You?
Yes,
he needs a better name.
I need a better name. I do.
Well, it was sitting right in front of us, and we didn't. If you go full cocaine Carm, you will reach another level.
Okay. Can we? I mean, that's a little aggressive. I don't know how the company on the top level of management would feel about cocaine Carm and graphics around that. That seems kind of aggressive. But
I think that was your best. I thought the one day you were cocaine Carm was your best show of 2025.
Maybe I'll go cocaine Carm all next week. We're just it's going to be a lot of time that we're spending together. By the end of this week, this is the week. For those who are diehard CHGO Bears fans, this is the week where by the end of it, because we just spent the Super Bowl together, now we're going on another trip together in Indianapolis, and it never ends. We're out to these bars till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then we're back at it. I stay out later on this trip than I ever stay out. This is the only week of the year.
11:45.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's correct. Last night you were watching USA and Canada. Do you think I saw that overtime? Once it went to overtime, no chance. Right?
Yeah, because you hate fun.
I had a lot of fun watching Northwestern beat Ohio State last night, buddy. It was tons of fun. But
yeah,
but this week I stay up late, and by the end of it is when we really do want to kill each other. So this is, and apparently we're all driving together. So now we're going to get a drive back on Friday, which is very aggressive by you, Hoge, in this planning.
Yes. Stoneman in the chat is reminding everyone that Tom Grassi, friend of the program, Packers content creators, got a YouTube channel. Make sure you search Tom Grassi and find that. He's at 5.5 continuously streaming days because he's not stopping his stream until he raises $1 million. He's currently at $606,000 to reach that goal. He's still got a long ways to go, but he's, just killing it. $606,000. And it's for a great cause, the Children of Fallen Soldiers. And if you look into that, that's, essentially what it is and what it sounds like, for to help support children that lose loved ones, that give the ultimate sacrifice. So that is why we love Tom Grassi here. He uses his platform for a great need. So we are rooting him on in his journey to raising $1 million.
Can I ask you a question? So when he
sir.
sleeps, there's the stream is just showing him sleeping?
I believe so. I was tuned in a couple times yesterday, so I don't want to say for certain. Maybe they bring, because there is a couple times where he was away when I jumped in and somebody else was on with him. And then at one point he was eating breakfast. So it's very entertaining. The guy has an unbelievable motor, great personality, great dude.
He's got 2,200 people watching him right now. I just gave him a shout out from the CHGO Bears podcast, so that now it feels like I just tried to promote ourselves. But I will make a donation as well for what he's doing.
I did just hop on there and looked back a little bit. He does have himself sleeping on the stream.
That's hilarious.
Not right now, but yeah.
Tom is a legend for that. Thank you for that info there, Steven. Appreciate your hard
Carm,
work
please
here today.
never stream yourself sleeping.
You sure? Could be good for us.
No.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I'm like I'm like having a out loud dream and talking about Bajent and at 3 a.m. You think you don't think that
Actually,
could be
that
good
might
for
be
us?
entertaining.
I mean, I see potential.
Swaggy McNolegs says in the chat, I love watching people sleep. So there you go. That's interesting.
It's a little creepy.
Anthony Tranchito with another $1.99 super chat. We appreciate your support here, Anthony. He says,
Did you say you were letting me go 10 minutes ago?
I did, but then you stuck around as you suggested rank leave first, and now you're stuck with us. And if I got to deal with Carm, so do you.
Okay, goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
We'll see you. Adam
Good job,
Hoge.
Hogue.
Appreciate
We love
your
you.
Friday contribution. Oh, gracious one.
You got me for 3 more minutes. I'm giving you 3.
I do not care what you say, because this show could have already been over if it wasn't for your mindless rambling. So be quiet and let me get through the final things we have. Anthony Tranchita, $1.99 super chat. I think we needed to invest in O-line during free agency. I agree. We all agree full-heartedly, and that is what the Bears are going to attack. Chim Richards.
Yes.
With us. Sorry, Steven. I apologize. I didn't know you knew I was going here with this. He says, here is my list of top guys on the screen right now. Mind you, Chim Richards is a Lions fan, just to paint a picture of, just his judgment in life. Number 1, Carm. Number 2, Hogue. Number 3, Braggs. Number 4, Rank. Again, this is a Lions fan who chose to root for Detroit his entire life. And at one point they went 0-16. He has Carm number 1 on his list. I find that interesting. So yeah, Crystal Simone comes in with a $9.99 super chat. Love you guys. Happy Friday. We appreciate. Yep, go ahead.
Crystal will be getting her first box from Factor on Sunday.
There it is.
Supporting us left and right, and she's going to be eating healthy and living the dream. Big time move by Crystal. Everybody have a great weekend. It's great to be with you today. Anything else, Greg?
No, I think that wraps things up. I agree. When people were saying like, oh, does Carm hate Rank? Like we've been through this here before on the Friday shows that we do from home. It's a little different than in studio. The camera's a little closer to our face. And I think like when we talk about resting Hogue face, when Carm is at home as opposed to studio, he does have like a, I don't know what to call it. It's not resting Carm face. It's more like StreamYard Carm face or remote Carm face. And so he just has a problem looking like a normal human being when we are on camera doing remote shows. So for those of you that are still tuned in for this nonsense, you can take that note and kind of monitor how stupid his face looks throughout shows on Fridays.
I don't understand how people do it. Like I try to listen, so I'm here. But then I want to smile, so then I'm here.
No, you're
ridiculous. Like, what are you supposed to do? Seriously.
But the thing is too, because like people are just watching intently, and facial expressions, mannerisms are everything. And you're just not a great poker player. No. I'm used to it at this point. Like when I'm giving you a take you hate, you roll your eyes, you start dulled off, like where it looks like you're about to die. Look,
it's real. When you say something dumb, I'm gonna react. I'm not gonna be able to sit there and be like, okay, that's so good, Greg.
Well, what happens to your face when you say something dumb?
When I'm lost in my Carm thoughts that aren't making sense, you can tell that it's not my best moment, I'm sure. But
all right,
let me tell you, I will continue to find my perfect, like engaged, but not judgmental and open and living in the land that you live in every day, which is a fascinating land that literally I don't think I'll ever be able to get to, but I'm going to keep striving.
That's right. You're right. The land of Northwest Indiana, the region which you are not allowed in. So that is the land I live in. And you all live in you all in the chat live in the mouth of madness when you tune into the show. And we appreciate all of you hanging out with us, especially those of you that stay this long all the way to the end, where we have a little bit of fun with you. and have a little fun as we head towards the weekend. Obviously, NFL Combine next week. Monday will be a big day. Obviously, Adam Hoge, like he said, is releasing his first edition mock draft for the 2025 offseason. We'll probably have some answers on what happened with Ian Cunningham. Wouldn't surprise me to hear some of that announcement maybe even later tonight, but certainly by Monday. So some things to discuss there. And then Tuesday, Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, all the coaches across the league, all the GMs will be speaking to the media, and then we start to get into the players as we go deeper into Indianapolis. So we're excited for next week in a big way. So please hit that like button while you're still here and taking off and enjoying your weekend. Thank you to Stephen Nicholas, our producer and our fearless leader, for all of his hard work. And thank you, Mark Carman, for everything that you bring to the program. And of course, thank you to Adam Hoge for blessing us with his presence on a Friday. And of course, Adam Rank, who joins us weekly here on the CHGO Bears podcast. Do you have anything else? Because I know you always love to add something before we leave.
I just want to know if you have anything to say about Chubbs. No,
I can give a shout. I can literally start shouting out everybody. Dr. Truth. I love Dr. Truth. Noah T, even though he's been kind of hard on me today.
Brilliant, man.
I don't like.
What about Philip? What about Philip?
Philip, Swaggy McNolegs. I really like
awesome
that screen name. Hippie Nerd. Crystal, of course, got a big Northwestern win last night. As your season's about to end,
a little wasted. No,
I can relate.
You did great. You did a great job today, as always, Greg. Thank you for your guidance and your brilliance. And I hope that everybody has a great weekend out there. I will be around town, planning on hitting the United Center tomorrow, 4:00 for the Bulls and the Phoenix Suns. And yes, if you're looking for more Carm, you can spot me on Sports Sunday, NBC5, bringing in the big shooter on Sunday night. So, if you can't wait till Monday to see me, then I'll be popping up on. This is my first ever Sports Sunday appearance, so I'm excited about it.
Excellent.
Try to do the best I can to mention you, Greg, and how you were instrumental in me getting this opportunity.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do it. Happy to help. Sorry for everyone else for helping Carm, but I had to do it. So appreciate you guys. Once again, hit the like button on your way out, and we will see you on Monday. So as I always like to say to end the week, keep your head up and always bear down.
We all silly like the mayor.